Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am super excited to bring you my very first weekly reading vlog, and that is going to be for the Contemporary-A-Thon round 5. For those of you that may not know, Contemporary-A-Thon is a readathon that is hosted by Chelsea Darling Reads, Pages and Pens, Mel's of the Any, and My Reading is Odd. And this is just a readathon that has to do with all kinds of contemporary reads. So I think what I'm first going to do is tell you guys my TBR for the week. I already went through this in my September TBR, but I thought that I would remind you guys. So the first book on my TBR is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I actually cheated a little bit on the Contemporary-A-Thon and I actually started this book already. I ended up starting the audiobook for this past Saturday because the audiobook that I was listening to ended and I knew that I didn't have time to completely finish another audiobook before the Contemporary-A-Thon started. So I thought that I would just kind of get a jump start on the Contemporary-A-Thon and start this audiobook. So I think what I might do to make up for like cheating on the Contemporary-A-Thon is I might start and finish a 6th book, but we'll just have to see. I'll definitely keep you guys updated about all of that. But yeah, I've already started this. I'm actually pretty far into it. I'm on page 291, which is chapter 17, and I don't think I'm gonna have any issue completely finishing this tonight because I think what I'm gonna do is switch between reading it physically while I'm at home and then listening to the audiobook when I am on my way to work. I actually listened to a good part of this audiobook today already because I had to go for a costume fitting for the opera that I am in. So just to tell you what this is about, I'm sure pretty much all of you already know because this is such an iconic YA book. I am a little ashamed that it's taken me so long to finally read this because so many people have been raving about it and it's just such a celebrated book and for very good reason. But to tell you the basic plot, this follows Star, who I believe is 16 years old, and essentially what happens is she witnesses the murder of her friend Khalil at the hands of a police officer, and this is inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. It is a very powerful and moving book for sure. I am absolutely loving this so far, as I knew that I would. Obviously, so much of this book is about her friend Khalil's shooting and the police officer that did it, and all the political things that that brings up. So yeah, I think I'll discuss this book a lot more when I finish it. I think what I'm gonna do with this vlog is at least give you guys one update a day. I think ultimately what I'll do is do an update earlier in the day, maybe the morning, early afternoon, as well as an update at night, just to kind of wrap up what I read for the day. Yeah. Currently reading this, absolutely obsessed. Then next on my TBR, I have Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is fulfilling the prompt for reading a book that is beloved by someone in the book community, and specifically who I thought of for this book was Kat from Paperback Dreams. I'll link her channel down below, but she has raved and raved about this book. I actually tried to listen to the audiobook for this one, but I wasn't really liking the narrator's voices, and I was finding that I wasn't really able to follow the story, which is kind of weird because usually I don't really have an issue with that with audiobooks. So I think with this book, I'm just gonna stick to reading the physical book. Then also The Hate U Give is fulfilling the prompt for a diverse contemporary as well as a hard-hitting contemporary. So then after that, the next book is The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. This is fulfilling the prompt for a book with a plant on the cover, but this could also fulfill the prompt for a hard-hitting contemporary. This book essentially follows a group of girls that, upon finding out that this other girl was basically run out of town after accusing the popular guys of raping her, these girls get together to form a group to essentially get justice for that girl. I am really looking forward to this. So many people have been raving about it. I did get the audiobook for this one as well, so I think I'm going to do the same thing with The Hate U Give, where I'll switch between the audiobook and the physical book just to be able to read it as quickly as possible because I do want to finish all of these books in a week. So then I have 2 books left. The next one after that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is a book that came out, I think, actually this month, but I got it from Book of the Month last month. And this is a Renaissance Fair romance. I've talked about it a little bit in a couple of videos of mine, but yeah, it's just supposed to be a really cute and fluffy romance. I'm really looking forward to it. Then after that, the last book on my TBR is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Also, just so you know, Well Met and The Bride Test both are fulfilling prompts for 2019 releases and books that both have illustrated covers. But The Bride Test by Helen Huang is the companion novel to The Kiss Quotient, which is a book that I am absolutely obsessed with. I gave it 5 stars. I think I talked about it in one of my August wrap-ups, but this book just came out, I think, a couple of months ago, and I'm just so pumped to read it. So once again, I have have the audiobook for this. I have a feeling that all of these books are going to be at least 4 stars, but I think that most of them might be 5 stars, which is just so amazing. I think that's going to be it for this reading update. I will definitely check in later tonight once I have finished The Hate U Give. Hey guys, it is much later on Monday night. It is about 11 p.m. so I thought I would give you guys a final update for the night. The Hate U Give, I actually finished this on the way home from rehearsal and I absolutely adored it. I am of course giving it 5 stars. If anyone gives this book less than 5 stars, they are just dumb and have no taste. Although, like, I don't mean to offend anyone if you did give this less than 5 stars, but like, how could you give this less than 5 stars? This is one of those books that I feel like everyone should read. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a reader, everyone can benefit from reading this book. I, for one, learned so much about what it is like to be Black in today's society and what the Black Lives Matter movement truly means. I feel like there's still so many white people in our country that just don't fully understand the Black Lives Matter movement. And, you know, those are the kind of people that are always like, well, all lives matter. What are you talking about? And it's just like, no, you are missing the point. You are missing it. And I just think that this book does an amazing job of covering what that movement truly means and what it's all about. I absolutely loved Star, who was our main character, and it was just so cool to see all of her different relationships with her friends and family in her own neighborhood, as well as her friends at the predominantly white school that she goes to, and her relationship with her boyfriend, who happens to be white. And what I also really loved about this book is that there's so many amazing discussions brought up about different racial issues, and at the end of the day, it just made me think so much. And when a book can do that, I really have to commend the author. I think Angie Thomas is such a talented writer. I'm very much looking forward to reading On the Come Up, which I have right over here, actually. I have a feeling that that book is going to be really great as well. And I'm just so happy that I started off the Contemporary-A-thon on a really good foot with a 5-star read. So then on my way home, I did finish this with some time to spare before I actually got home. So I went ahead and started the audiobook for Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I literally only got 1 chapter in. I am on page 17 and that is chapter 2, so definitely not far at all, but I think I'm going to be able to make a pretty good dent in this before I actually go to sleep tonight and then tomorrow morning. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe give you guys an update tomorrow, maybe early afternoon, but we will just have to see. I will definitely just keep you guys updated about what I'm reading throughout this week, and I'm just so happy that this vlog is already going so well, this week is already going so well. So yeah, that's going to be it for now, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of the Contemporary-A-thon. It is Tuesday afternoon, and I thought I would give you guys a reading update. So I've actually made a lot of progress on Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I think what's definitely really helping me get through all of these books so fast is that I'm able to switch between the audio or the physical book, depending on what I'm doing. So just now I read about 70 pages of the physical book, and last night I got through quite a bit of the audiobook, and I think I'm about to switch on the audiobook again because I'm actually, if you can see this bag over here, I'm actually packing to leave to go to Houston tomorrow. I have an audition there, so that'll actually be a really good excuse to get a lot of reading done because I will be spending a lot of time in an airport and on an airplane, so I will definitely be able to get a lot of reading done the next couple of days for sure. But just to tell you guys where exactly I am in Well Met, I am on page 144 and that is chapter 11, so we're getting close to like halfway through the book, so I definitely don't think that I will have an issue finishing this book by the end of tonight. So because like I said, I'm going to be listening to the audiobook while I pack for this trip, and then I will also be listening to the audiobook to and from opera rehearsal tonight. So yeah, I am loving this book so far. I have a feeling this is going to at least be a 4-star book, but it might be another 5-star book. So just to tell you what this book is about, this centers around a girl named Emily. I think she's about like 25, 26. and she essentially goes to this small town in Maryland to live with her sister and her sister's daughter because her sister was in a pretty traumatic car accident and that left her leg shattered. And so Emily goes to Maryland to be her sister's caretaker and to also kind of help take care of her sister's daughter. And her sister's daughter, Caitlin, really wants to participate in this Renaissance fair, but Emily soon learns that because Caitlin is a minor, she needs an adult to also be a volunteer for the Renaissance fair. So she essentially gets roped into being a tavern wench. And then there's this guy, Simon, who is this kind of like uptight English teacher at the school that Caitlin goes to. And he gives Emily a pretty hard time right away. I don't know, he's just immediately just kind of annoyed by her. But then at the Renaissance fair, he plays this really attractive pirate. And so him and Emily end up in this like fake relationship in the Renaissance fair. So like they're in a relationship, but only when they're in character. So yeah, I'm just like already obsessed. If you guys have any recommendations for more books that are centered around Renaissance fairs, definitely give me your recommendations because I am already trash for this whole situation. Yeah, I'm loving this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on the audiobook and start packing for my trip. And I think I'll just give you guys an update at the end of tonight. Hey guys, it is much later on Tuesday. I think it's about like 11:30 or so. So I wanted to give you guys a final update for the day. So I actually finished Well Met by Jen DeLuca, and I think I'm giving this 5 stars. It's crazy that I'm giving both books that I've read this week 5 stars because I do not tend to give that many books 5 stars. I was going to give this like maybe a 4 or 4.5, but the last 2 chapters were just like the sweetest and most perfect ending to the story that I had to give this book 5 stars. I just had such an enjoyable time. Like I talked about earlier in the vlog, I absolutely adore the Renaissance fair setting and the dynamic between Simon and Emily, but also the dynamic between Simon and Emily's characters when they are in the Renaissance fair. Also, there are a couple of really good steamy scenes in this. So I'm just really excited that I have finished 2 books in the span of 2 days, and I've given both of those books 5 stars. So I only have 3 books left for my official Contemporary-A-THON TBR. But like I said at the beginning of this vlog, I am thinking of adding a 6th book, but I haven't fully decided which book I want to read. I do have a couple of contemporaries on the shelf behind me that have been on my shelves for at least a year that I really would like to read as soon as possible. So I might pick one of those, but I think I'm just gonna keep you guys updated. So like I said in my last update, I am heading out to Houston tomorrow morning. I'm flying there. So I am bringing 2 books with me, and I think the 2 books I'm going to bring are Radio Silence. I'm going to read this exclusively, just the physical book, and then The Bride Test by Helen Huang. I do have the audiobook for this one off of Hoopla, and then I am also bringing the physical book because I really do like switching between the 2 formats. For one thing, I can read the book faster, but also it's just a really enjoyable experience that way. So yeah, I am super excited about both of these books, and yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this reading update, and the next time you see me, I will be in Houston. Hey guys, it is Wednesday afternoon. I have already been up for quite some time. It is just about 2 p.m. and I've been up since like 6:30 a.m. So I will definitely be taking a nap. I am in Houston. I am in my hotel room. I'm actually about to flip the camera so that I can show you guys the room. But yeah, I'm just so excited to finally be in my room and just get settled down. I will give you guys a reading update, but first I thought I would just go ahead and show you the room that I am staying in. Okay, hotel room tour time. So this is the entryway, and then we have a microwave and a coffee maker, as well as a mini fridge. I probably won't use any of these. I'm literally staying here for a day. And then this is the bathroom. You know, pretty standard accommodations. Hey guys! So this is like the main room. So we have a king size bed, and I'm definitely going to starfish as soon as possible. And then we have just like a TV here and a desk. I already have my laptop set up and charging. I don't usually bring my laptop with me on short trips like this because I am flying back tomorrow afternoon, but I really wanted to get a jump start on editing for this vlog because there are going to be quite a few clips that I need to edit together. And then there's this really nice couch. There's my bag. And here are the two books that I brought with me, Radio Silence and The Bride Test. I just took the dust jacket off. And then I actually have a nice view. Look at Houston. Hey, Houston. It's been quite a while since I have been in Houston. I lived here for 2 years for grad school and have not been back since. But yeah, it's just nice to have like an actual view. Usually when I stay in hotels, the view is like literally a brick wall. So this is quite a step up. It's really cool to see some of the Houston skyline. Okay, so reading update time. I've actually made some pretty good progress on both of these books. Radio Silence, I have been reading strictly physically. I do not have the audiobook, but I am already on page 103, and so that is about 25% of the way in because this book is just about 400 pages. I'm really enjoying it so far. So far, it's just about this budding friendship between our main character Francis and this guy Aled. I don't know how to, I think I pronounce his name Aled in my head, but it's just spelled A-L-E-D, but I've never seen that name before. And basically they're bonding over this YouTube podcast that Aled actually created, and Francis is a huge fan of. But yeah, I've read one of Alice Oseman's books before. I read I Was Born for this a few months ago, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I can already tell that this book is better. So yeah, I am so excited that this might be another 5-star read, because if that's the case, then I will have read 3 5-star books in a row, which like never happens for me. I tend to rate books that I enjoy 4 stars, but 5-star ratings I tend to reserve for books that just like really blow me away and I am like actually really obsessed with and could see myself rereading over and over again. But yeah, I definitely could see this being another 5-star read. So enjoying that. Then I also got a chunk of The Bride Test done by Helen Huang. I have the audiobook for this, so I was listening to this audiobook in the airport because my flight came in at like 10:30 a.m. and I knew that my hotel room wouldn't be ready until like 1 or 2 p.m. So I was just hanging out in the airport for a while, and so I got a pretty good chunk of this audiobook done, and I am on page 52, and that is chapter 5. So I think that's just about like 18% of the way through, but I'm really enjoying this so far. Basically, this is following our main character Kai, who was a very minor character in the Kiss Quotient, which if you know me at all, you know that I am absolutely obsessed with the Kiss Quotient. I gave that 5 stars, and it's definitely my favorite romance that I've read so far this year. But this one is following Kai, and basically his mother went to Vietnam and got him a mail order bride. I am very excited to keep reading this. I love Helen Huang's writing. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna love this as much as the Kiss Quotient, but I have a feeling that I am still really going to enjoy this. So yeah, that's basically it for this reading update. These are the only 2 books that I brought with me, but I did decide to download another audiobook off of Hoopla. The Bride Test audiobook is from Hoopla as well, but I got the audiobook for Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, which is a really smutty romance that I've heard a lot of really great things about, and I just saw that Hoopla had the audiobook, so I just went ahead and downloaded it because I do want to try to read and finish a 6th book this week. So we will see if that happens. And then, like I talked about in one of my last updates, I also have the Nowhere Girls to read, and I unfortunately do not have access to the audiobook anymore because I ran out of Scribd credits. So I will be reading that completely just physically. So yeah, that is going to be it for this reading update. I think I'm going to take a nap because I am very tired. Like I said, I've been up since like 6:30 a.m. and I will definitely give you an update at some point later tonight. Hey guys, it is much later on Wednesday. Actually, it's technically Thursday because it is just about midnight. So I thought I would give you guys my final update for the day. I've made pretty good progress on both Radio Silence and The Bride Test. Radio Silence, I am on page 204, and that is exactly halfway through. And I am on page 119 in The Bride Test, and I think that's chapter 12. And I'm just about 40% of the way through this book. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'll at least be able to finish one of these books. I may not be able to finish both of them, but I think come Friday, I will have finished both of them and I will be able to start the Nowhere Girls and the audiobook for Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. So yeah, I am enjoying these books very much. The Bride Test is it's just not as iconic as The Kiss Quotient, and I didn't really expect it to be, but it's definitely so far a solid 4-star book. Radio Silence, I don't really have much to add. I am enjoying it just as much as I was earlier in the day when I last updated you guys. So yeah, it is definitely time for me to go to bed because I have to be up at about 8 a.m. to start getting ready for my audition. So I will definitely talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, it is pretty late on Thursday. I think it's actually almost midnight. I wasn't able to really update you guys at all today because today has been a very long and kind of chaotic day for me. So I woke up at about like 8 a.m. and I just immediately got ready for my audition. I had an audition for a summer opera company that was at like 10:30, and then I immediately went to lunch with some really good friends of mine that I made over this past summer, and then immediately after that I got into a Lyft and went right back to the airport and had a couple of hours to spare before I had to board my flight, and then I got on a plane and flew back here, and as if that wasn't enough, I also had like an hour break, and then I had to drive to opera rehearsal, and that got done at about 10. So yeah, it has been a very long and very tiring day, but I was able to get a lot of reading done. I have just been having so much fun putting this vlog together and filming it for you guys, so I hope that you've been enjoying it as well. So with that being said, let me give you my reading update for today. So Radio Silence, I'm actually pretty close to being finished with this. I have about 70 pages left, and I am going to for sure finish this before I go to bed tonight, so that will be another book done. I don't really have a lot of things to say about this book. I think I'm just gonna like hold off on all of my final thoughts until I completely finish reading this, but right now I'm not seeing where it's a 5-star read, but who knows, the ending might completely blow me away. And then The Bride Test by Helen Huang, I'm on, let's see, I'm on page 251, and according to Goodreads, I'm about 84% of the way through, and I've been just listening to this on the audiobook. I haven't been physically reading it at all. So yeah, these two books will be knocked out by tomorrow at some point, and then I can start, like I said, the audiobook or Fix Her Up. And then the very last book on my Contemporary-A-Thon TBR is The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. I will definitely start that tomorrow, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I have a feeling that that is going to be a really great read for me. So that's really it. I really don't have much more to say in this segment of the vlog. I think I'm just gonna go kind of get settled with Radio Silence and finish it, and then I will like collect my thoughts and talk to you guys about that tomorrow. Happy Friday, everyone. So I actually ended up finishing both Radio Silence and The Bride Test last night, so I thought I would give you guys like my final thoughts on both of them. So I'm overall giving this 4 stars. I think this is a really cool and unique YA contemporary about finding one's own identity as well as getting the freedom to choose your own life path. And a central theme in this as well is how going to university or going to college may not be the only option after high school. So just to tell you a little bit about what this plot is about, we follow Frances and Aled. Frances is just known as this really smart girl. She's head girl at her school. This takes place in England. So it talks a lot about like the British education system. So as an American, that's something that I am pretty unfamiliar with. So that was also interesting to learn. So Frances is essentially known as this girl who doesn't really have a personality other than she just gets really great grades and studies all the time, but she's obsessed with this YouTube podcast called Universe City, and she essentially discovers that this guy Aled, who she has known for a while, but they've never been particularly close, he's actually the creator of Universe City, and so their friendship kind of starts from that. And while I definitely enjoyed this book and I can see why so many people love it so much, for me personally it is a 4-star read. I just feel like because I read this as a 26-year-old as opposed to an 18-year-old or someone around that age, it just didn't leave as much of an impact on me as it probably would have. But I can definitely appreciate the impact that it would have on a lot of readers, and I wholeheartedly do recommend it. But yeah, I especially loved the aspects of this book that incorporated elements from the Universe City podcast into the story. I thought that was really, really cool and interesting. And I did overall enjoy the characters. This has a lot of good representation. Frances, for one thing, she's bisexual. She is also, I think she's mixed. Alid is actually demisexual. And there's a character, Daniel, who is gay, and another character who is a lesbian. So there's some really great representation, especially with the LGBTQ plus representation. And then I also did end up finishing the Bride Test last night. I didn't think I was going to, but I realized that I only had like an hour left of the audiobook. So before I went to bed last night, I just kind of had this playing as I was laying in bed. And I ended up really enjoying this. I'm also going to give this 4 stars. For me, it just wasn't as iconic as the Kiss Quotient, but I still really adored Kai and Esme's story overall. And the ending especially was just so freaking cute and adorable, and I just loved it so much. I also loved that we got to see a bit of the characters from the Kiss Quotient, Michael and Stella, and their wedding, which was really great to see. But I just love this companion series so much. I know the next book, called The Heart Principle, is coming out next May. I definitely plan on pre-ordering that because I just love these characters so much, and I love Helen Huang's writing. I also really love the autism representation in both of these books. I'm very interested to see what kind of characters we cover in the next one. I do know that the main character is going to be Quan, who was a character that was heavily featured in both of these books, and I am so excited to finally see his love story come into play. So yeah, definitely highly, highly recommend this. It just wasn't as iconic as the Kiss Quotient, but it is still a really, really great contemporary romance. Also, the smut in this is really good, just like in the Kiss Quotient, although I will say there is a bit less smut in this than that book. So if you thought that that book had a little bit too much smut, I would say try out this book anyway. I think you would probably enjoy it a bit more. So then, as far as what I am currently reading, I did start the audiobook for Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I'm just about 20% into the audiobook, and I am really enjoying it. I don't really have many thoughts. I'll probably get into the full plot of this book once I get further into it. And then for my physical book, I am reading The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. I am on page 56, so not very far. This book is about 400 pages, but I am loving this so far. It has immediately drawn me in, and as soon as I am finished filming for the day, I can't wait to just keep reading this book because it is just so, so good. And again, I will go into this plot once I have read a bit more of it. We only have like 2.5 days or so of this readathon left, and I'm really excited about everything that I have been reading, and I definitely think I will be able to finish both of these books by Sunday. I might even be able to at least start a 7th book, but I will definitely keep you guys updated on all of that. Hey guys, happy Saturday. It is day 6 of the Contemporary-A-thon, which is crazy. I feel like this week has flown by, but also at the same time, since this is my first time doing a weekly reading vlog, it feels like this week has been going on forever because I have been constantly editing clips that I have been filming for this. But I've also just been really enjoying this experience, making a weekly reading vlog. It might be something that I might continue to do, not on a regular basis, but for more readathons and events and things like that. So reading update. I didn't update you guys at all last night just because I didn't really have much to say. I was just kind of making progress on the books that I've been reading, and I didn't really have any thoughts to give. But I am about 45% of the way through Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I'm really enjoying this so far. Basically, this centers around our main characters, Georgie and Travis. Travis was a pretty famous baseball player until he got an injury in his shoulder and is now no longer able to play. And right now in the book, he is up for a job as a baseball game commentator. And then we have Georgie, who is actually a clown. She does performances at different like little kids parties and things like that. And basically no one in her life takes her seriously. So both Travis and Georgie have reasons to go into this fake dating situation. Georgie because she wants to be taken more seriously with her family and friends, and then Travis because in order to get this sports commentator job, he also needs to be respected more because he's definitely garnered this reputation of just being a womanizer, and so if he's in a relationship, then he will be taken more seriously as well. We've already had one very smutty scene. Do not let this illustrated cover fool you. This book is very, very smutty. We're not even halfway through the book, so I mean, I'm here for it because I love smut and I love romances. But yeah, definitely don't let this cover fool you. If you're not someone who likes a ton of smut, I would stay away from this book because I think it would be too much for you, and I haven't even gotten halfway through. Then The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. This is my physical book. I am on page 174, and that's getting close to like halfway because this book is about 400 pages, and I am really enjoying this. So what's really great about this book is that it has awesome representation among all three of the main characters. So the main character is Grace. She has just moved to this town. I think it's called Prescott, Oregon, and she is actually plus sized. But what's really great about her character is that her being plus sized really has like little effect on who she is. She doesn't even really think about the fact that she's plus sized. The only reason that we know is because when other people see her, they describe her as chubby. And then there was one scene in this where somebody did call her fat. So that's really the only way that we know that she's plus sized. But I just love that she doesn't really think about it, and it doesn't really have anything to do with her story. Then we also have Rosina, who is queer. I think she's a lesbian because it doesn't talk about her being attracted to guys at all, but I think for now I'm just going to settle on her being queer because it hasn't really been defined as to if she considers herself a lesbian or if she just considers herself queer, so I'm just going to say she's queer. Then we have Erin, who actually has Asperger's syndrome, and it's really cool following her POV too and seeing what her mindset is like. So I really love that all three of the main characters in this have some kind of special representation. I think that's really cool. And so far, I think the rep has been really good for all three of them as well. So I did talk a little bit about this plot in the beginning, but essentially these three girls become friends and they decide to come up with this organization called the Nowhere Girls because they want to get justice for this girl, Lucy, who was essentially run out of town because she accused three popular guys of gang raping her. So then at this point in the book, the Nowhere Girls have had a few meetings and they have all decided that because all the guys at school treat them like shit, they are going on a sex strike. And I vaguely remember that being a part of the synopsis, but I haven't read the full synopsis in a long time. So then when that part of the story came up, I was actually kind of surprised. This book definitely reminds me of Moxie by Jennifer Matthew, I believe her name is, because again, it's all the girls in the school banding together against the toxic men at the school. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do now is actually, I need to organize a lot of books that I bought recently. I posted this massive book haul to my channel last Wednesday, and I need to shelve and organize all of those books that I bought. So that's gonna take some time, and I think while I'm doing that, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook for Fix Her Up and see how far I can get in that. And then I do have opera rehearsal at 2 p.m. today. We actually have what's called a Zitz probe, which is just a rehearsal with all of the singers and the orchestra to kind of get all of that put together, because this week is Tech Week and then we open this coming Friday. So that's really exciting. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, so I thought I would show you like the before of before I really clean up my shelves and everything. So this is actually where I film. Hey girl, that's my ring light and stuff. Then I have a lot of crap on top of this shelf. I have two Olaf stuffed animals because Olaf is like the best ever. I have some pumpkins that I want to use to decorate my bookshelves. Then this massive box is a book outlet haul, owl crate, and most of the books that I hauled in that video that I talked about earlier. Here's my other bookshelf. There's this garland of leaves that I kind of made myself, and then some like fairy lights that I need to figure out where to put them. Going over to my other bookshelf, this is like my fantasy series shelf. I need to clear off this whole top of the shelf. Then I have all of these boxes that I need to put in the trash because they are in the way. So yeah, that's kind of the before. I also would like to clear off the top of this shelf, but I don't think everything is getting done today. I think this is going to be a project that I do over like the next couple of days. Okay guys, I made quite a bit of progress. So as you can see, Over here, I put up some leaves as well as some like fairy kind of lights. I put a couple of pumpkins here. This is actually a wax warmer from Scentsy, and I can't wait to put some kind of autumn scented wax in there. The top of this shelf is definitely a work in progress. I need to kind of move things around. And then here is this final bookshelf. This is like my fantasy shelf. I moved all of my Cassandra Clare books onto the top so that I could open up another shelf for more books. So this top shelf is kind of like my Sarah J. Maas shelf, and then just tons of fantasy. And the top of this shelf is still a work in progress too, but I'm overall really happy with how this is all turning out, especially this shelf. I'm absolutely adoring like the leaves and the pumpkins and everything. I think it'll look really cute as the background for my videos. All right, guys, it is pretty late on Saturday night, but I did want to give you guys a final update for the night because I actually finished 2 books today, and the first one that I finished is the audiobook for Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I overall really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really liked the relationship between Georgie and Travis. Like I said earlier in this vlog, this book is very, very smutty, so be warned. I do think you would enjoy this if you really like rom-coms, but you also like a lot of smut, because yeah, it gets real in this book real fast. I know some people who have read this book are annoyed that Travis calls Georgie baby girl a lot, but to me it never came off as condescending or patronizing. It was just a term of endearment that I think really worked for them and their relationship. I also definitely look forward to reading more of Tessa Bailey's works now that I have read this one. So I also finished The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. I overall really, really enjoyed this book. I think what does stand out about this book is the 3 main characters, and that is Grace, Erin, and Rosina. I really think they help bring this story to life. I also really loved the discussions that were brought up in the Nowhere Girls meetings. I think those discussions alone make me want to recommend this to every teen girl out there, and really anyone who would be interested in reading this. I definitely learned some things from reading this, and I think you guys would as well. I also liked that Amy Reed didn't villainize all of the male characters. There are a few characters in this that are actually really good people and really support the Nowhere Girls, and I just really loved that. Also, there's some really good quotes in this that I want to point out. So there's this chapter where Grace is talking about plus-sized women just in society. So it says, Grace has never questioned her body's place in the world. She always believed the laws of movies and TV shows. Chubby girls are sidekicks, not romantic leads. Sometimes they get to be funny, but more often they're the butt of jokes. If they're powerful, they're evil, like Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid. They are not heroines, and they are certainly not sexy. These are the rules. This is the script. But life now looks so much different. Maybe those rules don't apply anymore. Maybe they never really did. Maybe real life is not like movies at all. Maybe in this one, in this life, fat girls get to be heroines. I'm actually like tearing up reading that. I just love that quote so much. Again, the representation in this is just so well done. There were a few other passages in this book that really stood out to me, but that by far was probably my favorite part of this whole book. So now that I actually have 1 full day left of the Contemporary-A-thon, I am actually going to read a 7th book, and that is Always Never Yours. This is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. Essentially, this is about a girl named Megan Harper, and basically all of her exes have found their one true love right after dating her, so she thinks that she's unlovable, but she ends up being in this production of Romeo and Juliet, and then she meets this guy named Owen who is an aspiring playwright, and I'm sure that they fall in love, and it's going to be really cute. I've heard so many good things about this book and this author duo. I'm really excited about it. I did find the audiobook on Hoopla, so I think that'll really help in being able to finish it in one day. This is about 350 pages, and so what I think I'm going to do is just switch between the physical and the audiobook depending on what I'm doing tomorrow. Also, I'm including a couple of clips from my day today. I'm currently in rehearsals for the opera Carmen, and so I'm including a very short clip from our Zitz Probe rehearsal where it was just the cast with the orchestra, and then I'm also including a short clip of me with my dog Chloe. Chloe is a pit bull mix that my mom and I have been taking care of for a while, and I love her so much and I really wanted you guys to meet her, so there's that. But yeah, with all that being said, I will update you guys tomorrow. So this is my dog Chloe. Well, she's not really my dog, but she's my sister's dog actually, and me and my mom are taking care of her for a while. Chloe, come say hi to the camera. Come say hi. There she goes. Chloe, my baby girl. Yay! Okay, she really wants to go inside, but yes, this is Chloe, and she's the cutest baby ever. Hey everyone, it is very late on Sunday night. Today is also the 7th and final day of the Contemporary-A-thon. I didn't really feel the need to update you guys at all today, just because I was trying to finish reading a book by the end of tonight and I didn't want to take any time out filming anything, and I also didn't really have much to say until I finished the book. So the book that I read today was Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Baroka, and now that I have finished this book, I have officially read 7 books for the Contemporary-A-thon, which is just crazy. I thought that maybe I would get through 5, but I was just loving all of these contemporaries. Always Never Yours, I talked a little bit about what the plot is, but basically there's this girl named Megan, and she participates heavily in her school's theater program, and she wants to go to this really prestigious directing program at a school in her state, but in order to be admitted into that program, she has to have an acting credit on her resume, and she has never been in a play before. So her school is doing Romeo and Juliet, and she assumes that she's going to be Lady Montague or another character that has little to no lines, but she ends up being cast as Juliet, and she is very surprised and not too happy about it at the beginning of this book. And another basic part of the premise is that she has dated several guys, but they all have ended up breaking up with her and then immediately finding their one true love after dating her. So she thinks that she's very easily replaceable and not lovable, but she meets this guy named Owen who is an aspiring playwright, and the plot goes on from there. I think I'm going to talk about the negatives first before I get to the positives. One thing that really annoyed me was the fact that Megan's best friend ends up doing something that is a huge betrayal to Megan, but she ends up forgiving her friend pretty easily, and it's just kind of unbelievable to me. And it also kind of pissed me off just because of what her friend did to Megan. It was just something that I feel like even if Megan could find a way to forgive her, it would take a lot of time. I feel like something like this would take me months or maybe even years to forgive someone for. So that really annoyed me throughout, because then they kind of acted like nothing happened. And yeah, it was just unbelievable and just annoying. Also, there's a fair amount of cheating going on in this book. There's multiple characters in this book that are like cheating on each other throughout, and I just thought it was unnecessary, and again, it kind of pissed me off. I just could have done with a lot less cheating. I just don't think it's necessary. But other than that, I did really enjoy this book at the end of the day. I really loved the incorporation of Shakespeare and high school theater in the story. It definitely made me feel nostalgic about my experiences being in the musicals in my high school. I also loved that Shakespeare kind of brought Owen and Megan together. It was something that they really bonded over. I also really liked the discussions about family in this book. So basically, Megan's parents divorced some years back, and they have both found someone else to be with. And so Megan kind of feels like she's no longer a part of her family because both her mom and her dad have moved on and are looking to create new families with their new partners. So she kind of feels like she's being edged out of the family throughout this book. But then there's a really great discussion, especially between her and her dad, about how Megan is definitely not replaceable and they will always be a family. I just thought it was a really sweet discussion. But yeah, again, I overall really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this 4 stars. I'm definitely interested to read their other books. They came out with a book called If I'm Being Honest, which that's the cover right there. It's pink. And then I think they're coming out with another book in 2020. So I definitely want to check out those books. Okay, so here are pretty much all the books that I read for the Contemporary-A-thon. The only book that is not in this stack is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, because I just listened to the audiobook for that and I do not own a physical copy of that book. But I thought I would give you guys a quick little wrap up of everything that I read this week. So, first book I read is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I gave this 5 stars. It was absolutely incredible. And the next book I read after that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I also gave this 5 stars. I really, really, really loved this. And then after that, I read Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I ended up giving this 4 stars. After that, I read The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Also gave this 4 stars. The last book in this stack is The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. Ended up giving this 4.5 stars. Then I read Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. Gave this 4 stars. And then finally, we have Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca, and I gave this 4 stars. So I am just so happy that I gave all of these books at least 4 stars. I'm so excited that I enjoyed all of these. And honestly, I had so much fun this week filming this vlog for you guys as well as editing it. I also want to take a minute to thank all of the hosts of the Contemporary-A-Thon. So that's Chelsea Dowling Reads, Pages and Pens, Mel to the Any, and My Reading is Odd. I want to thank you guys so much for organizing this because it really encouraged me to read a lot of contemporaries. So that is going to be it for my Contemporary-A-Thon vlog, you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you would consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that notification bell button below so that you will be notified every time I upload. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!